Something unusual is happening in Nigeria's political space, and it could completely shape the outcome of the 2027 presidential election. Peter Obi has just issued one of his strongest warnings yet. Not quietly, not indirectly, but in a way that has triggered reactions across the country. His message was clear, urgent, and impossible to ignore. He warned that what happened in 2023 must never happen again, and that Nigerians must be ready to defend their votes. But what exactly does he mean? And why is this warning coming now? Stay with me, because what he said could change everything. In recent weeks, political tension in Nigeria has started rising again. Discussions about the 2027 general election are no longer just speculation. They are becoming real preparations. Political leaders, parties, and citizens are all watching closely. And right in the middle of these growing conversations, Peter Obi stepped forward with a powerful message. Speaking during a public engagement and later reinforcing it in official communications, Obi expressed deep concern about the credibility of Nigeria's electoral process. He reflected on the events of the 2023 presidential election, an election that sparked nationwide debate, controversy, and legal battles. For millions of Nigerians, especially young voters, that election represented hope, but also disappointment. And now, Obi says Nigeria cannot afford a repeat. In his exact words, Peter Obi declared that the criminality witnessed in the 2023 election will not be tolerated in 2027. That statement alone was enough to capture national attention. But he didn't stop there, and he emphasized that democracy only works when votes truly count. Not when they are manipulated, not when they are questioned, but when they reflect the genuine will of the people. He called on Nigerians, especially the youth, to remain vigilant, engaged, and prepared. Because according to him, the future of Nigeria depends on the integrity of its elections. This was not just a political statement, it was a warning. Shortly after this, Peter Obi took an even more visible step. He joined concerned Nigerians and civil society groups in demanding electoral reforms, specifically calling for mandatory real-time electronic transmission of election results. This system, if fully implemented, would allow results to be transmitted instantly from polling units, reducing the risk of manipulation. For many Nigerians, this represents one of the most important safeguards for democracy. Obi's presence at these protests sent a powerful signal. It showed that his concerns were not just words, but part of a broader call for accountability and transparency. He made it clear that credible elections are not optional. They are essential. But perhaps the moment that shocked many Nigerians the most was when Obi made a statement that quickly went viral across the country. He said, and I quote, "If they don't count our votes, we count the person." This statement sparked intense reactions. Some people saw it as a strong expression of frustration with electoral malpractice. Others saw it as a warning, a signal that Nigerians must refuse to accept manipulation. Regardless of interpretation, one thing was clear. Peter Obi was sending a message that Nigerians must no longer remain passive observers. They must become active defenders of their democracy. So why is this happening now? Because Nigeria is approaching another critical political cycle. And history has shown that the actions taken before an election often determine its outcome. Trust in the electoral system remains one of the most important pillars of national stability. Without trust, democracy weakens. Without credibility, leadership becomes questioned. And without transparency, the will of the people becomes uncertain. Obi's message reflects a growing concern shared by millions of Nigerians that the next election must be different, that it must be credible, that it must be transparent, and most importantly, that it must reflect the true voice of the people. As Nigeria moves closer to 2027, one thing is becoming increasingly clear. The conversation about electoral integrity is no longer in the background. It is now front and center. Peter Obi's warning has added fuel to an already growing national discussion. A discussion about democracy, about accountability, and about the future direction of the country. The real question now is not just what leaders will do, but what Nigerians themselves will do. Will the next election restore trust? Will the system prove stronger? Or will the concerns raised today become even louder tomorrow? One thing is certain: the road to 2027 has already begun, and the entire nation is watching. If you believe transparency and credible elections matter, share this video so more Nigerians can stay informed. Because democracy works best when the people stay aware.